pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for coming. Today is June 25th. Roll call. John Hotchkiss here.
Bailey here.
John Mullen here.
Okay. Wow, looks like we're signing away everything. Board of Selectmen meeting from the 11th. Minutes.
I move that we
I saw those already, so.
I move that we accept the minutes as transcribed for June 11th, 2018.
I will second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, one down, 25 to go. Tufts Garage letter. Would you like me to read it?
Oh,
Yes?
yes, go ahead. Yep.
Dated June 25th. No. It says, Mr. James Tuft, by noticing the copy to it, goes to a bunch of other people. Mr. Tufts, in the fall of 2017, you were given the deadline of June 1st, 2018, in order to clean up your premises at 308 New Hampshire Route 153, Middleton, New Hampshire. You are expected to remove thousands of old car, truck, tires, old cars, old boats, metal parts, metal debris, etc. As indicated back in the fall of 2017, a visit to your premises was conducted on or about May 1st, 2018. By the way, at that time, three of us went plus John Moore. Okay? At that May meeting, we noted that much work had been done to remove the above listed items. We visited your property on or about June 1st, 2018. Much improvement. Nearly all the old tires are gone, the old cars have been removed, and the woods on your property are generally clean. Is the opinion of this board, that's us, that you have complied with our request of last year? A few suggestions. Remove the remaining metal rims. You had so many tires, the metal rims were being carted out by the tractor trailer load. Not a little utility trailer, tractor trailer. Put them in a dumpster, remove the dumpster. Remove the 3 or 4 old boats that are still on the property. Meet with the Middleton Planning Board so as to proceed with your request to have a legal car/truck repair business on the premise. Thank you for your efforts, me, Board of Selectmen Chairman. Does that agree with what we saw?
Yeah.
Okay? Did a lot of work. Credit. Okay? When we went there in the fall, I guessed 1,000 tires. I was wrong. When I talked with Keith, he said 4,000. Took out 4,000 tires. Okay? That's a lot of tires. And apparently he developed some way to separate a tire from the rim. He was doing it at a rate about 1 every 30 seconds. He developed some machine, something to do with a backhoe or payload or something. And he'd break the bead and off you go. I give him credit. So, if it is your pleasure, I will sign this.
That's what I agree.
All right. Good. Next, Kings Highway Pit Lot Line Adjustment Letter. Want to read this one?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Also dated June 25th. Josh and Sarah Morgan, 75 Kings Highway, New Durham. These are the people whose land is on Kings Highway and abuts our property. We're beside him and way down in back of him, we've got a big chunk of land, he's got a little tiny plot. Regarding lot line adjustment, dear Mr. and Mrs. Morgan, recently the town of Middleton attended the zoning board of adjustment meeting in New Durham to request a variance on the road frontage for the town of Middleton's Kings Highway permit. The town of Middleton has approval from New Durham to move forward on moving the front pin on Kings Highway to allow for your power supply and driveway to be then considered as part of your parcel. until this is done. There's the land, here's the telephone pole. Underground wires go across to their land, that's on our land. In an effort to be good neighbors, we're saying, well, we can move the point around so that it includes this stuff, okay? There are now 3 options on moving forward to complete this process. Town of Middleton will file with the New Durham Planning Board for the lot line adjustment for the road frontage. We're very specific, road frontage, because you go down further into the pit and some question about where this pin should be, all right? You can meet with the Middleton Board of Selectmen regarding the additional land needed to square off your parcel. Your driveway and power supply can be moved off the town of Middleton's property, no line adjustment will be needed. If we, Board of Selectmen, do not hear from you within 30 days from receipt of this letter, we will expect you to remove all of your items from town of Middleton property within 90 days. Or if necessary, we will take legal action to resolve this issue. Okay? I believe this goes under the heading of no good deed shall go unpunished. You've been involved with this, like you have, is that pretty accurate?
Yeah.
We're trying to help, and the result is they want more and more, and they want us to pay for more and more, and
Thank you.
I get the feeling we're offered just about enough.
So, my opinion is like that, we've done as much as we can to be good neighbors to help them in a bad situation, because they bought this and they didn't have it surveyed, which they probably should have, and now they're in a pickle. 12 feet of our property line is not gonna hurt us to be good neighbors, but now they're getting greedy and want more, and they want us to pay for it. And that's not gonna be something the taxpayers of this town is gonna pay for, give them any extra property, ain't gonna happen. For the record. So,
I think,
so.
Ed or Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think their property line going back into, away from the road, looks something like that. They would like us to pay to have this done. Okay?
In addition
Is that
to
accurate?
what we're already getting.
Right, and I'm not sure how it's up to us to pay to have that moved. So, I don't mind helping out at the road here, but even that I'm starting to wonder, the more we give, the more they seem to want. So, what is your pleasure? Is
Send
that
it,
written all right?
send it, certified
Okay.
mail.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for 2 years, hasn't it?
All
Well-
of that.
So.
Repurchase paperwork for property on Route 153.
Another repurchase from stuff that we, took.
Explain repurpose, please.
We took it for non-payment of taxes.
So it's a tax deed.
Yep.
And now the original owners wish to get their land back. So without giving me the exact numbers, what do they have to pay? What's owed plus interest?
What's owed plus interest, and because it's land only, 10% of the assessed value is a penalty. This one wasn't as bad as some of the others, so.
So again, I'm just
Why is
gonna,
it 10%, excuse me?
yeah, go ahead.
Why is it 10%?
Because it's not their primary residence, so it's a penalty for not paying their taxes. It's an
If it
RSA.
was a primary, it'd be 15,
No, it would be nothing,
it would be nothing.
yes.
So, help me out with just some numbers, I'm not quoting, just in general. Piece of land, they owe $2,000 in back taxes, they don't pay it, it's deeded to the town. That includes interest and penalties. But now for them to buy it back, it's 2,000 plus 10% of the 6,000, which is $600. So instead of just paying what they owe like they should have, now it's $2,600.
This one, for example,
Here we go.
they owed $4,300 in back taxes and interest and stuff. They ended up paying another $3,600 in just the 10% penalty.
Wow.
Plus you gotta pay all the paperwork fees and the tax deed and all that.
Okay.
Pay your tax.
So there's that, and then there's the deed. Yeah, sign. This is the third one that we took and is
We
repurchased.
just had one that,
We have 50 some odd jobs.
$58,000.
Probably because I copied it.
The bank sent us some money, $58,000 for the same item. 21 grand in interest.
Sign more and more,
Do you
please.
want me to strike it?
I think that's it.
No, okay.
It goes with it.
Laura, do you find this unusual that so much is coming in, or is it?
This is abnormal for all this money.
Let people get their home back, now they can put it back on the market, so. Make it
No,
gone.
so far, none of them have wanted to sell it, nope.
We don't want to pay taxes, but we want the land. Good deal, we get it.
Next, SAM authorization letter.
Okay, so I had to go in,
Government.
yeah, that's the government thing for the grants that I have to do every year, and this year they want an authorization letter on file that just says that I can do the paperwork online. It's actually something that they print out for you, so they pre-fill it, and then you just have to fill it out, like sign it.
All right, for those who were in the military long before, what does it stand for now, SAM?
System for Award Management, whatever the
Yeah.
heck that is. What is
What
it?
did-
They didn't know.
What did SAM stand for before
He's
in the
read it.
military?
This'll,
Space available mail.
Yeah, space
You
available
need
there,
this number
exactly.
to apply for any government grants.
This is, okay, this is the DUNS number thing?
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay.
This is their new
Guns
way
and
of,
tins, you say
Okay,
them.
okay, I got you. I'm with it. Yes, you do.
The sign?
One signature.
This is you.
It's like your ID number.
Yep.
Universal municipal ID or company ID number.
I used to sell propane to the shipyard down there.
You
And
just
I had to go through all this stuff like that. I tell you, I never knew anything about this stuff. I tell you, I spent hours on long.
Here we go. Cell tower authorization letter. Dun-dun-dun.
that's from Blue Sky.
I think we need to talk about that, so now.
Don't. I just got done playing golf with John Stevens.
Now, Roger, I don't play golf, so you have to help me with this.
4.
John Stevens is associated with this.
He's the governor's representative.
Do you allow him to win?
Hell no.
Oh, just wondered.
Did he?
Does he win?
We're playing a scramble.
He allowed Roger to win.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, we were playing a scramble, it was just a good time.
Right.
But, even if we were playing head to head, hell no. Laura, read it, Laura.
This letter of authorization dated day of 2018 provides written authorization for Blue Sky Towers 2 LLC, its attorneys, other agents or reps to apply for any necessary zoning petitions, permits, or any other approvals, including but not limited to the filing of a building permit application after required zoning approval has been completed, if necessary, which are necessary for the placement of a wireless communications facility with a portion of tax map 12 lot 24-2, commonly known as street address 58 Ridge Road, state of New Hampshire, Stratford County, City, Township of Middleton. This letter of authorization shall not constitute an agreement to enter into a binding agreement, and neither party shall be bound with regard to the leasing or purchase of the above-mentioned property until final agreement has become fully executed between the parties.
For example, even though it's town property and the agreement is with the town, they build a 6-foot fence around it, it has to go before the zoning board.
Right.
That's an example. Have we already taken care of the height?
Yeah.
So that's good. And whatever else might.
Yeah, you guys, they're gonna come to you anyways and ask for relief. But that's something that's gotta be signed to send to Blue Sky, to AT&T, because AT&T wants that too. So, talking with John Stevens today. So it's just lawyer paperwork, you know that, John, I don't care how much lawyer paperwork.
So, without holding you to any particular comment, things are looking good.
Fall,
Good.
this year.
You?
John Stevens told me today on the golf course, we had a working, for one hole, we had a working conversation. And we're the first ones gonna have the tower put up.
Oh, good.
And AT&T told me that they are putting pressure on Blue Sky, that's why Blue Sky sent some of this stuff, to get their acting here, because AT&T wants it up before fall.
As you undoubtedly know, Roger, from being in town government, when they want that variance, they should get started, because there's an application and you have to notify the abutters.
Yeah.
I'd like to get it up and moving so it's not a hindrance to getting this
I
done.
will tell Sean that that thing's signed, and to go ahead and put in for their variance.
Okay.
So,
Thank you. Tax exempt denial. Ooh, didn't sound good.
Excuse me,
Yes.
can that letter be emailed, a copy of it, or whatever, faxed to, and to get it, to expedite that?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna email it back tomorrow morning. He didn't say I had to send it. He just said get it signed and send it back. I'm thinking email.
All three of us have to sign this, correct, Laura?
Yes.
Just explain what it is and why it's being denied.
Yes.
Per assessment, assessor record, no qualifying service medal.
Okay, so it sounds like it was
Yeah.
a military exemption, but you need to prove that you served during that time or that you were in combat zone. Saying it is not enough.
This was for veterans.
Yeah.
yeah, so he ain't got the key on for it.
Okay.
National Defense. We call it a key down.
Hey, Cat?
Hey, Jack, how you doing?
Cat and Jack?
Okay, good. Next, real estate exemption denial.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
this is a
don't think
tough
we've ever
crowd
seen
here.
one of these, but this is for a religious organization that applied and they were denied because it's just land. So there's an email on the back that, from Avatar, that explains that they don't qualify, so. Yeah,
I'm familiar with that whole
no,
process.
this is the first one I've ever seen.
Well, I'm familiar with it in Wakefield.
You gotta have a building on it?
Well, I don't know about that per se, but certain organizations are excluded from paying taxes. If you can prove that you are a religious organization, there's certain other groups that are allowed tax exempt status, okay? I don't know whether it's a place like a VFW, I don't know, or the big one that I'm familiar with is religious, okay? And there has to be some evidence that you are in fact a religious organization, more than just being religious on paper, okay? And my first thought would be, how can you be a religious organization if you don't have a building? I suppose you could
But
meet
there are
out in the woods or
some
something.
organization holding out the field, out in the back 40.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the couch.
I don't know. We're gonna rely on our information.
Kevin's wouldn't wanna hold their bonfire in a building.
So basically, it's tax map for lot 17, descriptions land only, primary use and extent of duration, retreat occasional.
Oh, okay, so they gotta be there all most of the time.
And on the thing from Avatar, the religious exemption application did not pass the test for in use or occupied. So that's what they're going by.
Good.
And that's what we pay them for to make those decisions, and that's what we're gonna go by.
They're worse than us do.
Yeah.
Let me see where it is. Just says, I don't know where it is, but,
Land,
yeah, it doesn't say where.
oh, the map, on that
Yeah.
page. Right there.
Yeah,
So that's
map
it.
4, lot 17,
Be any idea where that is, Laura?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you.
Oh. Should know.
Down by the lake shore.
where?
Down by the lake shore, probably. I don't know, it's map 4.
Gary Road.
Okay.
Gary Road.
Wow.
Religious organization. Very real.
Well, you know, you can go in the tents, you know, it's occasional.
A lot of Gary Road is pretty wet, isn't it?
They even got a back 40.
I know. The lots there are,
It's
Like quarter acre.
.23 of an acre.
It's a good place for
How much?
.23.
yeah, it's a quarter of an acre.
Wasn't a lot.
Okay. Give them credit for originality. All right, old business, highway facility update. That be why you're here?
Yes.
You have the floor.
2 reasons, just to give you a progress report, and we are running into a couple of issues down there which need your attention. Basically, so far, all the stumps have been pulled, removed from the site. We actually hired Washburn Trucking to do that for us. Looms all stripped, stockpiled, gravel wetlands are complete with the seeding and plantings. Drainage is probably 95% done. Large quantity of boulders have been moved to the property line. There's more boulders there than I think anybody could ever imagined.
No, no,
I'm guessing you've been there.
yeah. Need some
An
more?
excessive amount of boulders.
Tony
I'm
said we can call-
talking-
Tony
Are
said
they
we can call
big or
down
are they
his place.
little guys?
No, that would be a rock. A boulder would be
You
anything
have
over 2
excess
feet.
rocks?
A boulder is anything over 2 feet,
Is that by definition? there?
yes.
Ed's
And
definition.
If you run short.
most of them are bigger than your chair. Some of them the size of your truck, but maybe a truck. A lot, very large.
If you run short, we've got more down here Portsmouth Road.
No. I don't like rocks particularly. Salt shed area has been completed, highway building area has been completed. Parking lot area and driveway are the next area to be worked on. There is a cross culvert in the driveway as you go in, which Nelson put in. They put it in according to plan, but it's too low. And that's a design flaw. I don't think you'd ever get Norway Plains to foot the bill to fix it. I don't know if it's worth trying to get them to do it. Nelson did give us an estimate of $17.50 to raise that.
$1,750,
Yeah.
not $17,500.
No,
Okay.
1750, not 17.5.
How was it determined that it was a flaw?
What you have is what they call a forebay to the gravel wetlands. Any runoff from the property goes into this forebay. And from there, it's supposed to filter through a stone barrier into the gravel wetlands. And you really don't want your pipes that go into the forebay at the same grade as the bottom of that bay. They should be up.
It would backfill, is that our
Because
back?
if you had any water buildup in there, it would back into the pipe, correct? There are two pipes that run into it. One of them's a foot high, which is where it should be. This one, and Norway Plains' reason for putting it so low was to get as much cover over it as possible. That's not even an issue. Basically, if we leave it where it is, on the inlet side, we would actually have to build the head wall up from what the plan shows. So, the best fix is to just raise the pipe.
I say raise it. I don't think we have a choice.
Well, if it was the design flaw, you know, the first thing you'd say is, okay, it was a design flaw, it's your fault. But, and it's gonna cost us $1,700 or whatever it is to correct your fault of your design.
It cost you $17.50 to go through the lawyers.
Just hear me out, please, okay? So you take the least path of resistance, and unfortunately, we're gonna be stuck, because if we go, it'll possibly get into a litigation issue, delay everything else, and so, maybe, the most prudent thing to do is to proceed to move it and do it, and then, talk to Norway Plains and see if there's something that they can do to soften the blow.
We do, once we get through this stage, before we proceed into the second phase of it, which would be putting in the buildings, paving and all that stuff, and finishing the job, we're probably gonna need them to come back and redo their control, so that when we lay out all the buildings and so forth, everything's right.
Okay, can I make a suggestion? Is that we send a letter to Norway Plains indicating that we have determined that your design, there's a flaw in your design, and we're gonna have to make some changes. Something to the effect that, you know, we'll do those changes, but, you know, we would certainly appreciate it if you could help us out with those changes, now or in the future.
Some future endeavor.
You know,
Yeah,
work with us in the future.
because if we hold it, if
Like you said,
just-
soften.
we'll get the attorney involved at $150 an hour and all that other kind of stuff, we'll eat up
Sure.
$1,700 in 3 seconds. And then it'll be he said, she said, and, you know, if it's a design flaw, then they're gonna come to, who decided that it was too low, what's your qualification? I can see it going already. So it just
In
makes
the
sense.
best interest of getting this.
Best interest to move forward, I just think we need to let Norway Plains know that there was a deficiency there, we've noted it, and we hope you will take that into consideration now and in the future. Something to that
I
effect.
agree.
Is that in the form of a motion that we draft this letter?
I suppose.
Okay, is there a second?
Yes.
Discussion from anyone? Good idea, bad idea?
Good idea.
Yeah. Okay,
But you're gonna go ahead and move forward and give them $1,700, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
get it done.
All right, all in favor?
Yep.
Aye, opposed? Okay. Next, or is that it?
Oh, no,
it
you
goes
got 4
on.
pages.
Oh, no.
There is some work out on the roadside, which wasn't part of the job itself. I'm sure everybody's noticed. We did, when we cleared the lot, we did a little bit out front on either side of the driveway entrance. None of that was figured into the job as far as clearing it and making it prep for loom. It's not something that needs to be done. It's something that, once we get further into the job, depending on where we're at, if there's any money available, we might wanna think about doing that. They did give us an estimate on that of 2,500. I think for all intents and purposes, I think we're best off to hold off on that.
I agree.
Because we do have some other issues that we need to deal with that
Yep.
are considerably more important.
Is that to make it look a little more professional in terms of the entrance instead of just?
Yeah.
Does it help with those, the line of sight also coming in and coming?
It does help with the line of sight. That's not the main reason, I guess. We could keep everything cut down, but it certainly would help if it looked a little better.
Easier to mow grass than.
And it would be easier to maintain once it's done. And again, that might be something that we can hold off on as well.
Way to tail end like that, see, we got lots
Right,
of money.
right. It's not
It's
something
not
we're
a
gonna
big thing to do.
push on right now. We have run into a considerable amount of material that's below subgrade. If it was a foot and a half, a little more, I'd probably argue with these guys that, that's something you probably ought to just do. But we're seeing areas that are 4 feet low to get down to good material to build on. I don't think anybody ever expected to find that. So that's probably the biggest issue. And how we proceed with that is entirely up to you three. There is some money left in the capital reserve fund that could help out with some of this. Rick had mentioned that there might be some money available through his block grant to help with some of this. Exactly what, I don't know in that respect.
How much are we talking about?
As far as the amount of excess fill, I'm not sure.
Oh, we have to fill it?
Well, dig it.
The
Phil.
excess cut and fill, whatever's below subgrade, if it's bad material, it's gotta be removed
Oh, I see what you're
and
saying.
replaced.
Do we have materials down on site that can use to fill with?
We have some,
Do we
but we
have
may
some?
have to bring some
From
from
the
the
pit.
other pit.
But we do have. it in
We
some
have
spots.
the material
Okay.
to do it one way or another.
Okay.
It's a cost thing.
Is the cost to truck it or
The
not?
trucking isn't gonna be such a big issue. I mean, we can eat the
It's
cost of
it's
trucking.
actually
within our
moving
budget.
it once we get it there
It's-
to the proper
As far
grade.
as the contract is concerned, getting it out, getting the unsuitable material out, then placing the good material in lifts and compacting it to get it back.
This is where the
to-
building would sit, correct?
No, the building's pretty much done,
Okay, this would be where the driveways are or
where the driveway
pavements
and
are?
parking is.
Do we have a choice or no?
How many dollars are we talking? Roughly. Aim high.
Aim high,
Well, just don't lowball. Give us
I
worst case.
would
How
say
accurate can
worst
it be?
case, you could be looking at 20 grand. I think it's probably closer to 12, maybe a little less.
That's a big spread.
At 12 grand, you're probably, basically, for the price that they gave us to do the job, you've got about 10% over that left in that capital reserve line.
So that should be right around that number.
It'll get you close. It might not get you all the way, but it should get us
That's
close
just
at
that's just the labor to do it.
worst. Yeah,
Gotta dig it out,
dig it out,
haul it away,
stockpile it on site,
stockpile on site, then we have to
And
bring
then
in
place.
proper material and then
proper
he
material.
places it.
Right.
Bringing
Well,
in the material would be not a big deal for us because we could,
We can absorb the cost of that right within our department budget.
What do you do if you store it on site? Don't you have to get it off site at some point?
Eventually, yeah, there was gonna be a significant amount of material stockpiled on site that we knew about, that we'll have to get rid of over time.
Okay.
The loom pile down there is probably 3,500 yards.
I'll come take that out of there.
You got any volunteers?
how many yards of material are we talking, Eddie?
To be removed,
Yeah.
you could be 1,000, maybe 1,500.
So every time you come
Maybe
down
a
there
little
load
bit
like
more.
that, take it to the pit and get rid of it?
And They gave us a price of $4 to pull it out, $4 a yard to pull it out, $4 to put it back in and compact it, so. And that's the material below subgrade, I made it very clear to them, anything from subgrade up is theirs, anything that's original ground is theirs. If it's fairly close, I think he would have ate whatever's there. As far as the rocks are concerned, he hasn't said squat about them, and they've got some time in moving them.
If we have to eventually haul the stuff out, and if you don't need it, why isn't it hauled out to up in the Kings Highway?
We could haul it there.
I was thinking trucks are going back and forth.
Once we start hauling gravel in, if we can haul it out as we haul gravel in, the only thing we gotta worry about there is any dirt sticking in the body. Cause we don't want the bad material coming out when we're dumping gravel, so providing everything works well, that's what we're gonna try to do. And get some of it out of there. Maybe we can get lucky and find some people that are looking for some fill.
This is just a question, this wasn't picked up in soil tests or anything else that were done on the site? No?
We didn't do a whole lot of soil tests as far as test pits in a lot of the areas.
Yes.
Was the $4 and $4, does that include them loading it onto our trucks to haul it away? I'm assuming they'll have an excavator on site, would they load you up to take it out of there?
Basically, their contract says to stockpile it on site.
So if we start hauling it like back and forth with the gravel,
Yeah, they'll
opposite
load
the
it.
gravel, they load it for
Oh, yeah.
that same money?
Yeah. Yeah, whether they load it in their truck and put it in a pile or just load it into ours, that doesn't matter.
Where are they gonna haul it for $4 a yard?
They're not. Their job is to stockpile it on site.
Right.
Now,
We would
there's
be
our
more
stuff
than
to
Where
haul
the
it.
$4 a yard,
$4 to
Figure.
remove it from where it sits, stockpile it. And then $4, you have to put it back in place.
New
The stuff you
material.
bring in.
Material.
The new material, right, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, anybody, enlighten me, what happens if we don't do this? What are you gonna
We
see
can't build on it.
15 years from now
You
if we don't
certainly-
do this the right way now?
You certainly don't want, the building areas are all pretty much done.
Right?
You don't want, preferably, you don't want to put your paved areas on it either.
15 years from now, you're gonna have the same thing you have over the top Old Town Hall.
You can look at any of your roads, they're pretty much
Right.
just,
let me just get it in my head, how many yards of material are we talking about, you think?
you
Ballpark.
might be 1,000, 1,200.
You can't stockpile 1,200 yards of material in there and then
Oh, yeah,
pick away at it and
Yeah.
haul it off?
Yeah, that's what we're
Yeah.
gonna do.
but it's still gonna cost $5 to dig it out and $5 and $4
Right.
to put it back
Put
in.
it back and compact it down.
Right,
My idea of
Don't
hauling
go
it out
haul.
is just,
right.
it doesn't take up space down there, that's
Right.
all, but if there's room.
we've got the
that's fine.
room down.
Okay,
Just do it
that's
when we
more
can do
your
it.
concern.
That's one thing we can do, I don't know if, you know, if you wanna go as far as what money is in the reserve line and stop at that point, or. how do you proceed?
Well, without knowing exactly how much money's in the reserve line and all that, but, I mean-
You're somewhere around 8,000 after you take out.
8,000, so if there's 8,000 as part of that, then now you're looking at possibly 4,000.
No, it's 8,000 after that, right?
Cause 8,000, once,
Left.
it starts out at 137.5 and change. You get 10,000 that's gonna be put in this year. So that leaves you 147.5. Nelson's contract is 133.8. That leaves you 13,766. The stumps were 4,000, that brings you down to 97.66. Raise the culvert, 1750, that brings you down to 8,016.
So $8,000, so we're looking at possibly $4,000, maybe a little bit more to finish it out, to get this done.
It's probably gonna be more than that, 4,000. I
No,
think you could
obviously
easily
it's more than
use
12,000 altogether. You're saying.
1,200 yards would be, if it was 1,000 yards, that's
Where does that
$8,000.
come from?
Well,
Oh,
The
so,
money?
so now, is this
It's
is the
not
capital
the
reserve, you have 8,000, and then
it's
you
in
said
it.
just
Well,
might
it's
have
not
some money
enough
from
to
that
cover.
grant?
Yeah.
From
This
this,
point, The capital
Block
reserve is down to
Yeah.
only
So
$8,000
maybe.
left.
So he's saying he might have some money from the block grant.
But right now,
Right.
if we did everything, we hauled off the stumps, we raised the culvert, we don't worry about what's done, left out front, okay? After Nelson is paid in full on their contract, there's 8,000 left.
Okay.
That would move 1,000 yards at $8 again.
We can't go halfway the project and the door, and that's the main part of the lower yard.
We could do, we should be able to get, the driveway shouldn't be an issue, the bulk of parking, it's just basically, if you went in, when you go up towards the building and go to the left, that's where it gets excessively deep.
That's where the wells go.
That won't matter,
No,
they're gonna
but
put
that's,
20, 30, 40 feet of casing anyways.
But we can still find out how much is
That's
left
what
in the
we're
block
gonna
grant.
Right.
But with all the other expenditures, there should be 8,000 left in that.
What are we talking timeline?
They should be done within a month.
Do we have time to table an answer until we can find out what monies are available from the block grant? Or we will not know that for a month or two? Do you know it for next week?
I would say, if it would, I'm not sure how much Rick's gonna be able to put in towards it from his block grant.
Don't count on it.
I wouldn't count on it right now. Right now, you've got 8,000 in that capital reserve fund after everything else is paid for.
Well, I'm not opposed to using the 8,000, so I'm not sure where the rest of it's gonna come from.
We go to that point and if need be, stop.
To be done later?
Yes.
There you go.
I certainly wouldn't recommend going over what's in that reserve fund.
Okay,
And if Rick has some money available that he could pitch in towards it,
fine.
then, you know,
I agree. I'm
work
just
that
reluctant
in,
to add more
but
money
certainly
to
not
this.
go over what we've got
Right.
available at all.
I'm agreeable with that.
Comes to that point, then we stop.
Good. John, you agree? Use the money that's there, but I don't wanna just start spending more money that hasn't been appropriated.
No, well,
Okay,
all that's been appropriated is 133.8.
right, but the selectmen can appropriate the rest of it. capital
And
reserve.
it's money that is in the reserve fund, and I certainly wouldn't recommend going over what's available there at all. And like I said, Rick's got something, because I know there was initial talk about maybe possibly doing out front out of his capital reserve, out of his block grant.
Maybe we can just- Roger,
But I think he would prefer to do the parking than out front. We could always work that.
What?
Because
I thought you had a
and what
question.
doesn't get done,
I thought you had a question.
Oh, no.
and
okay.
what doesn't get done can always be done in
Right.
the second phase of this project. But either way, if Nelson can't do all of the parking area, I'm sure that they would adjust and go and do some of that cut and fill to make up for what they couldn't do. So they've been pretty reasonable to deal with, so.
Can I follow up on his comment? Talk about the well. What have we done about the well?
We're gonna move it.
So that the 75-foot radius is outside of there.
It's
100 by 100
not
for the
even
cell
gonna
tower.
be near the tower.
I am
So
big
that's good.
close.
All right, good. All right, discussion from anyone else? Anybody thoughts? Good? All right. Next.
Edward, you done?
Are you done? There's more.
No, that's it.
Okay. Next item is a police detail pay increase request.
Where's the
You want me
chief?
to? I know about it.
Okay, go for it.
Right now, when police are used on a detail in Middleton, the charge is $75 per hour per policeman. Of that $75 per hour per person, the policeman's rate, I believe, is $45, but they take taxes out of that and social security. So they actually take home probably closer to what, 30-something? Okay? The remainder of the 75, which is $30, goes where?
The town.
Yeah, but where in the town? Is it just the
The police detail account.
police detail account?
Once the officers paid and their stuff, they bring home like the 36, the rest pays for the town's portion of their retirement or 401 or Medicare, and then whatever's left goes to the police detail fund.
So, I said 45, that leaves $30, but the town does not get $30 per person per hour. The town has to pay town's portion of social security and
Medicare.
Retirement, yeah,
So-
Medicare,
we get maybe, I don't know, 20,
could be less, some of them are
$15
less, yeah.
per person per hour goes into the detail fund from which we are able to buy cruisers, okay?
We do buy some cruisers.
Yeah, it does not sound like much, but anybody that traveled 153 last summer, there were easily, on any given day, easily 4 police officers, sometimes 6 or 8. Roxanne, Jim, you guys live there.
Yeah.
How many times you go through them?
I
Every
was
day.
shocked today, I came home, and they were working down there, and there was no cops there. I about fell out of the truck.
Because last summer, there were a lot there.
Right.
That's how you accumulate this. I mean, I said we clear $15 per hour per person, but somebody could be there for an 8-hour detail times 4 or 5 people for that day, and it mounts up. Joanne?
Well, to increase the amount to give to the police officers would also increase possibly the insurance, Medicare, whatever. But the remainder goes to the police detail fund, which doesn't really impact the town until the police want to purchase another cruiser. So it's basically the only one penalized by giving the officers more money would be the detail fund, which impacts only the police department. Is that correct?
Yes, although I think they're asking for a $5 per hour rate. So their portion, instead of starting at 45, would go to 50.
Well,
Okay?
can I just say this?
The only impact would be to decrease the amount going to the police detail fund, which is primarily used for purchasing vehicles for the police department. So
Yes.
that would be the only detrimental effect, would be to decrease the amount going into the
Okay.
purchasing.
I'm not sure I completely agree, but I understand what you're saying. Either Jim or Pete.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Well, I was just gonna say, a triaxle gets $78 an hour. It's a $200,000 truck with a driver and, you know, all the maintenance cost on it. I think $75 for a cruiser and a cop stand out there is a lot of money myself, but that's just my
The portion
opinion.
that goes to the cop.
Yes,
I was wondering if the 75 is the rate set by the town, and if so, could that $5 go to the people that purchase the police officers on a daily basis? So if a contractor needs to use them, if we're gonna give them a $5 increase, raise the rate to 80, and that way it's no burden on it, because when you go to buy a cruiser, it ultimately is gonna come from the taxpayers. So
right.
I'm not opposed to giving the police officers that increase, as long as it's paid by the people that are using them, and not the taxpayers.
So you're saying if you raise the policeman's portion by $5 from 45 to 50, then the total amount should,
The billing rate would be 80.
okay?
Which I'm saying is ridiculous.
Right. You're saying-
Absolutely ridiculous.
That,
What do
that
surrounding towns get, do we know?
we know. The surrounding towns, I believe we did some research, and the $70 to $75 an hour is average for surrounding towns. Also, the policeman's portion, Milton has the lowest at less than 70, 69, whatever it was, $69. I don't think we need to raise the rate. Personally, I don't think we need to raise the rate for police officers. I think it's adequate based on what our neighbors do in other towns. Yeah, there are some cities within New Hampshire that charge $90 an hour. This is not Manchester, this isn't Concord. So I think if you start upping it to $80 an hour and put forward, we're just, I'm not saying we're pricing ourselves out, but we're not compatible with the rest of the community around us that charge basically the same rate. I'm opposed to raising the rate.
Joe, any thoughts? Not good with you.
At this point, no. In the future, if things change with the surrounding areas like that, and you have to stay in step with everybody else, I would not have a problem with it, but right now, we're compatible with everybody else, we're not ahead. It's a part-time job for these guys, it's nothing that they have to do for the reason they want the money. At this point, I would say no. I don't agree with either.
If I may just add, I think it's a fair system for the officers and a fair system for the town currently. And if we start, I just think it would be we ultimately pay. We don't see it that much, but we ultimately pay for these details. The city of Manchester here paid something to, or Eversource, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of dollars to that police department for their details. I will grant that the profits from the detail do help us offset taxpayers' input to buy police cars. That's why it was put there in the first place. Another town, I don't know whether it's Londonderry, Hudson, or whatever, they don't even let the police department set up police details. It's the highway department, and they did the same amount with Eversource, like 70,000. So I have some fundamental issues with the detail, period. But I think right now our detail process and the amount that we charge and the amount that we offer the officers is fair enough for what we do now.
I agree with that.
Couple of thoughts. The average pay for a policeman in Middleton, hourly rate, $22 an hour, okay? For that, they're expected to answer domestic calls, stop cars, arrest people. When you're on a detail, you can do none of that. If you see an unregistered car go through when the policeman's on detail, they're not allowed to get in their cruiser and chase after them. All they do is control the traffic. I have a difficulty understanding how directing the traffic is a net gain of $30, $35 an hour. But in their regular job, it's less than that. By comparison, teachers get paid to teach in the classroom. If they wish to do extra work, coach a team, run the drama club, that's less per hour. I'm still confused as why it's more per hour for less of a job. So I'm opposed to doing this.
I said, what it boils down to is the willingness of the person paying for that service, what they're willing to pay for it, to keep their workers safe.
I
Well,
don't think they have much of a choice, do they?
Yeah, they do.
Most of the people that first of all, we have a detail policy. I've done a little research on detail policies, and I think we're gonna have a workshop on all our ordinances, and I have some thoughts on that, how to make it a little more workable for the town and for the residents and how it's used now, but that's for another time. But I think it's inherent of the price, the wage difference is a thing in New Hampshire and probably 2 or 3 other states. It's been ingrained in the law enforcement community for years. It's difficult to get rid of and change. Some towns in this state don't even have details.
Yeah, they don't allow them at all.
They don't allow them at all. They just say no. There are other ways to do that. And no police details, but you can have flaggers that are certified. There are towns that have 3 options, some of them, which seems a little more easier for me to swallow. One, there are probably certain roads that may require a police officer presence, maybe, okay? There are certain roads that can either have a police officer present or a certified flagger. There are roads that do not need a police officer and just certified flaggers or signage according to best management practices. And those decisions can be made 2 ways. You leave it up to the police department because they're in charge of safety. But you also can have the Board of Selectmen create policies that, for example, some towns actually designate every street that follows into those 3 categories. So I think the detail system in terms of pay and its structure right now, I get worried about if we up the pay, then we're gonna reduce our margin, if you will, to go into the fund. If we up the total price, it eventually gets paid by us. You can't see, it's minimal on a monthly payment, maybe not even a penny. If Eversource comes in here and has to do something and they have to hire a minimum, I think there's a minimum of 2, minimum of 2 hours, so it's $150. So if they come in and do anything of major construction,
No, it's actually 4 hours for the company.
okay, yeah, 4, okay, I thought it was 4, but that's 4 hours, so, I don't know, I think we're fine the way we are, and I think we ought to take a look at, the whole ordinance thing, in terms of that policy, but I would not be in favor.
As to your point about downstream, we all pay for it. On the news today that they're raising the electric rates 19.22%,
Yeah.
19% increase. So we do pay for it, and it's not, as they're saying, it's not for the normal operation, it's for the production of the electricity and stuff
Well, I was
like that.
gonna
But no matter
say,
how you slice it, it's an
If you
increase.
took all those pennies over the last 30 years, I know all my powers went up immensely.
So,
Okay.
All right, discussion from anyone else? All right, I'm ready for a motion.
make a motion that we do not increase the current pay for the police detail.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor of not increasing the rate?
Aye.
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 Okay? All right, any other old business? New business is 1 item, I have 1 after that. Property bids. What are we bidding on?
Here's the posting that I submitted for just some town-owned parcels that we've had, and
Okay.
we've gotten 2 sealed bids. I don't know if they're for the same one I'm thinking they're not.
You guys need to open,
I
want me to
didn't
read this?
open it, so.
Sure.
Okay, tax acquired property for sale by sealed bid. Town of Milton, New Hampshire, accepting sealed bids on the below parcels of property taken by the town of Milton due to non-payment of taxes. The property will be transferred to the successful bidder chosen by the town of Milton Board of Selectmen. The successful bidder will be responsible for payment of the bid, as well as all costs associated with the closing on the property and all legal fees and any other costs, excuse me, associated with the individual parcel. Interested person should submit their sealed bid to the town of Milton. Property bids, Board of Selectmen, 182 Kings Highway, blah, 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 by June 25th, 2018, by noon time. Bids will be open at the next Board of Selectmen's meeting. Now, the town of Middleton, Board of Selectmen reserves the right to accept or reject any or all of the bids to determine irregularities in the bid process. Once a successful bidder is determined, the individual will have cost 2 days to pay the town in full, partial costs and associated processing fees. All other associated costs will be due at the closing. No warranties and guarantees can be granted by the municipality to the successful bidder. Below properties are offered as is. For complete information, interested parties should contact Laura Parker here.
How did this go out?
It's on our website, and it's posted on the wall.
Okay.
Property information, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parcels. Map 3, lot 29, Beech Tree Drive, .359 acres. Map 3, lot 29, lot 1, Beech Tree Drive, .359 acres. Asking price on the first one is $6,100, the second was $4,000. Map 20, lot 7, John Jones Road, 1.2 acres, $4,600. Map 14, lot 36, Deer Run Road, 1.52 acres, $4,000. Map 4, lot 52, Spruce Road, 0.176 acres at $1,800. And the last one is map 4, lot 53, Spruce Road, 0.444 acres. Asking price is $4,500. And we have the assessed values off the right-hand side if you want to know those.
Okay,
All right? So,
ready? First one, map 20, lot 7,
John Jones Road,
John Joe.
1.2 acres.
Okay,
Assessed value is $31,500. We're asking $4,600.
the Board of Selectmen, the Society for the Protection of New Hampshire Forests wishes to submit a $4,500 bid for the 1 acre parcel of land located off Hornbrook and identified as tax map 20, lot 7. However, let's see, due to the Land Trust Alliance set accreditation requirements and our own land transaction policies, we must make our bid subject to the conditions that a closing be at least 30 days after notification of a successful bid. This will provide the Forest Society sufficient time to review the property's title and evaluate the land to confirm that it is free of any hazardous waste. If title is found to not be clear and marketable, and/or if hazardous materials are found on the property, the Forest Society may choose to rescind our bid for the property, or they may opt to proceed. Should the Forest Society be found to be the successful bidder for the land, we will start these due diligence activities immediately upon notification, hopefully completing them before the 30 days. Questions, contact Brian Holtz, VP for Land Conservation. Okay? Signed by James Diffley, President Forester. Okay? $4,500. Do you know how much money we're owed on it?
Yeah, that's where your minimum bid comes from.
Okay.
That's a
So,
percentage of what is owed on it, because some of them go back like to the 90s. So
okay.
you're not gonna collect everything.
Is the 2 days statute?
No, that's our rule.
Okay.
Okay.
We've done the 30 days before.
Let's see what this one is for. Gentlemen, property bids on Spruce Road. What's on Spruce Road?
We have 0.176 acres, we're asking $1,800, assessed value is $9,000. The other lot, that's lot 452, and this is 453, is .444. We're asking $4,500, and it's valued at $12,800.
Okay, here we go. Lot 52, this person is offering $500. Lot 53, person is offering $1,600. Please note that we plan to combine both lots into one if we are the successful bidder. Respectfully, Peter Ciccolini, Lakeshore Drive, Middle. Okay? Those 2 different properties, okay? Jones Road up here, and then Spruce is over on the backside of the lake. Okay? Discussion from anybody?
Let's discuss the first one.
Okay, first one is from the Forest Society, $4,500 for 1 acre. It's located, they call it Hornbrook, I guess that's what we're calling Jones Road. Does that sound right? Okay. Map 20, lot 7. This one they require not the 2-day kind of get everything going, but 30 days. Okay? And understand that if we accept this, the Forest Society reserves the right to rescind their bid if they find there's problems with the land. Jack, is that pretty accurate?
It is.
Yeah.
As you may know, hopefully you checked before you took it by tax deed, there is a structure on the property. There's 3 structures on the property actually, and a well. so it's hard to know what's there until you start doing it.
This is the little red, the little red A-frame.
Yes, I've been up to see that.
That's tapped and dilapidated.
Roxanne, Jim, you know anything about that land? Is there anything near you or
Yeah.
Yeah.
any history you know about the land?
No, it's just a bunch of junk on it. That A-frame that those kids wrecked out there. I
Is
think it
that
was-
before or after your property?
After.
It's after.
Okay.
It's, there's an outhouse, I think, and a shed, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
the outhouse is pretty much falling in.
Yeah.
I think, you know, from what I've seen, hazardous, maybe shingles or something like that, but
That's the one thing that we wanted to check.
John, you do a
Yeah.
lot of transactions.
If there's
Changing
asbestos or whatever.
a closing
Yeah,
date
it's a mess.
is natural,
No
automatic,
big deal.
no big deal. And,
Changes more often than
and there are clauses
it's
on
not very
sales
big, is it?
agreements,
It's like 1
it's
acre,
almost
it's
like a
less
sales
than that.
agreement.
Even bus says
That
it's,
before I make a final closing, I inspect the property, if I
Right.
find anything, and blah, blah, blah. I don't have a problem
I don't, you know.
with that at all. I think that's prudent on the buyer. It's prudent on our part, I think, so I don't have a problem with bid one.
Jack, would this butt up to existing Forest Society property?
It does on two sides.
Good.
And, just to be clear, our intent would be to get rid of the structures and clean that mess up.
At your cost or our cost?
At our cost,
Okay.
Is that a motion?
unless you're offering.
Yeah.
We got into it one
But that's,
hour
but
before
that's
the
why
hill
the
a couple years
hazardous
ago.
waste is an issue. If it's,
Right.
if it's hazardous waste, the cleanup suddenly can get very expensive.
Yeah.
Fire training.
No,
No, I'm just,
no, because you can't get a fire truck down in there.
oh, okay, well, then I make
Is
a
it
motion.
after Harmon's place?
It's $4,500.
Well,
It is.
Harmon's is to the left,
45.
it's straight.
All right, I make a motion on map 20, lot 7, put forth by New Hampshire Forest Society for a bid on that property of $4,500. And a change in the closing, is it the closing date, is that what it is? From 2 days to 30 days.
Yes.
I'll second.
Okay. Everybody understands the motion? Comments from anyone? Good idea, bad idea?
What would prevent it, Jack? What would be something that would, like hazardous, like the
So if those
wouldn't it?
shingles are asbestos
Yeah,
and there's extraordinary cost
oh,
in getting rid of them,
oh, okay, but you would think so though?
we
I mean,
wouldn't,
and
we
I don't
wouldn't
want you
think
to
so.
say, I mean,
No,
I'm
no,
not
we don't
holding
think
you,
so.
but,
We're not,
but I
we don't know.
Right.
You know, in a
okay.
short time frame like this, we don't have time to do the
Yeah,
due
no,
diligence. to
that would
figure
be the
out.
only thing is the private
Right.
shingles.
Yeah.
Water retention, asbestos water retention.
All right.
Inside.
Somebody from-
Okay, are we ready? Okay, all right. All in favor of accepting the bid from the Forest Society for 1 acre lot, $4,500 with a provision that they need 30 days to decide if this is gonna be
And
something.
if it's in a condition that they need to revise or
Right.
withdraw their bid, they can,
Yes,
which is typical
it is
any real estate.
common
transaction.
practice. All right, we ready?
Yeah,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great.
Can I just ask, what do you need, there was something about 2 days, and then, what do you need immediately? Anything?
No,
Not for
they
30
agreed
days.
to the 30 days,
Right.
that's what they
you know, we
did.
gave you 30, so do your due diligence.
I think
guess.
Clock is ticking.
Right.
Laura, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we intend to hold the property, otherwise do nothing,
Right, okay.
until we hear from you as to whether you want it.
We'll
Do
get
you
to
have anything like a purchase and sales agreement?
I think that would come
Typically-
after the 30 days if, or within the
Typically, if
30.
you make an
Well,
offer.
typically, you file a purchase
I
and.
presume you would notify us formally with a letter saying that you've accepted the bid
Yeah,
and the terms.
But I think
And
this
we
week
would
also
consider
constitutes
that
that.
as the agreement that we're working on.
I can do
Right.
that.
Okay. Cool.
All right,
Thank you.
okay, thank you. Next one, just give me some more numbers.
Okay,
Lot 52 is, what's the number that you would?
Okay. map 4, lot 52 Spruce Road is .176 acres. We're
Okay,
asking $1,800, it's valued at $9,000.
okay, the 1,800 is back taxes, if you
Right.
will.
They've offered $500.
Okay. Lots 53.
Lot 53 is .444 acres. Asking price is $4,500. The assessed value is $12,800. They've offered $1,600.
What was the asking, what was the suggested price, Joe?
$4,500.
And they're offering 18.
Um,
No, I'm sorry.
16.
Okay. Just, I don't know the difference between what money we have tied up to it and the assessed value. It's right over here. Okay, so, lot 52.
Last two.
It's assessed at 9,000. We've got 1,800 tied up into it. Peter's offering 500, okay? Lot 53, assessed at 12,800. We have 4,500 tied up into it. He's offering 1,600, okay? So, there's the numbers. Any thoughts?
I would say no.
I
I would say no.
Yeah,
I think that's our decision to
Yeah.
make that.
right. If there's any comments, I'll be glad to listen, but ultimately it is us that decides.
Okay.
Comments from the...
Well, it might be your decision, but my comment would be, I think land is starting to move. I think to take that offer, that's peanuts. It isn't gonna help the town any to take, what's the total offer, $1,800 or something? On 2 pieces of land, now at 2,100. I just don't think it's, you know, I just think if you waited a year or even a year right now, the way things are going, and put it out to bid again,
Well,
you may get more.
do you have to put it to bid? I mean, technically, or could you put it listed?
We could list it with a realtor.
Right, I know there's a cost there,
Right.
but I'm just saying, I think that there might be, that might be an option. I would agree with Jim, things are turning around,
How about you folks?
but that's just my
Well,
opinion.
If you look at the 2 parcels of land, first of all, 52 Spruce is, what is it, .17, what is that? That's not even
Not even
a
a quarter.
third of an acre.
Right.
I mean, it's
Not even a quarter,
Not even a
If you had the
quarter.
two of them
not
together,
even a
it's
fifth of
0.6.
an acre.
Yeah, and these abut each other, right? So you would merge the two. This would almost be a half acre total.
Whereabouts on
If-
Spruce
if-
Road?
You know, from
At least that
the
culvert,
buyer's
that culvert
perspective, or the
across the
bidder's
street.
perspective,
It's got the
it
culvert
makes
next
sense
to it right now
to
for the
do
detour.
2,
Right,
not 1. I think in terms of the first
We
one,
don't want enough on that property.
you're not gonna have anybody that buys that property singularly.
There is a
Right,
cross.
they're gonna buy both properties.
I don't know
You
that.
know, the first
I'm
one,
not sure is it.
the bid
Somebody
$500,
stockpiled some material
I
in
guess I
there
could
in
live
the
with
past.
that one, I guess. On the other half acre, or almost a half acre, I think that might be a little low, personally.
Two good questions.
The first one, yeah, oh, I'm sorry.
it's okay, go ahead.
If I may, 2 things. One is, we did include in the bid that it would be combined.
Yes.
And the other is, that if I understood correctly, you just sold over an acre for $4,500, somewhere in that rate, right? I don't know what that last deal was. And this is half an acre for $2,100, so it's proportional to the deal that just went through.
It is,
No, it isn't.
it is in a different area, though. It's in a residential area versus a rural residential area, so, you know, the assessed valuation of the one we just sold was $31,500 for 1.2 acres. This is a half acre, and this is assessed at almost 20,000.
First Joe and then
Go ahead, let these guys talk.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jim.
Laura, comment?
I'm pretty sure that that's a lot of wet. Am I right to say that's wet
I
property?
think right in that area, the town has stockpiled some material in the past, and there is a cross culvert on Spruce Road. Somewhere there, I'm not sure
there
exactly
what?
where. a cross culvert on Spruce Road. So we're actually dumping water
Into that property, is
over
what
there
I gather.
somewhere.
Roger.
Gets it off the tax rolls, that's what we keep saying every time we do this stuff, we get it off the
We-
tax
How
rolls.
long have we been on the tax roll?
One since 2011 and one since 2012.
Few years, yes.
Are we at a net loss on tax to the state or whatever if we sell it at these prices?
That's a interesting question, but I don't know if you ever will get all of your money back. Whatever occurred in the past, if we sell the land, we start getting tax money in, all right? I don't know if you ever plan to get everything that you lost, okay?
So these are taxes owed, but is it,
Yes.
it's not money that we've given to the state or anything, it's just
No.
money
No,
that
it's
we
just-
would have collected?
Would have collected if it'd been on,
Okay, so it's,
somebody's
so
been
it's
paying
not,
taxes.
so it's not a loss to the, one other thing, and it's irrelevant to this particular issue, but I would like to point out is, when I worked in real estate, you can make your lists of foreclosed properties to realtors, and there's no charge for it to, if they have a buyer to come forward, it doesn't cost you anything to tell them that you have these properties. You could send out an informational to any real estate office that you want.
okay, Joe?
Laura, has Rick looked at that property to make sure that's not something he has concerns with?
Yeah, he didn't mark either one of them. The list went to him last year, so they were on there.
Anybody know what we're talking about? There are certain town-owned properties that the highway department, Rick Washburn, has said, we'd like to leave this as town property because we have water draining right onto the property. I know there are some right kind of at the intersection of, let's see, Gary, no, Lakeshore and Maple. There's town-owned property around it that Rick does not want to have sold because you're draining land. One culvert goes right underneath Maple, another one comes out and goes underneath Lakeshore, okay? But this apparently is not either one of those.
Not that I'm aware of
All
now.
right, Joe?
In a way, Roger, you're right. These properties are small enough that individually, you're not gonna do nothing with them.
No.
If you merge them, that's 0.63 acres. Again, not knowing the condition of the land, whether it's wet or not, are you gonna be able to build on it even if you do have it? Probably not. In my estimation, it's dead land, you can't do nothing with it. But if we can take something and get it back on the tax rolls, we're gaining. It's not something, and the other part of it is, all this land that sits around that we don't do anything with, we have liabilities involved with it too, as a town. My opinion would be, we're getting $2,100, is it the best deal? No, but it's gonna be back on the tax rolls, we're getting a burden and a headache off of the liability off of our shoulders as a town. I would suggest take the deal.
Does this abut against any of your present properties?
It does not, well, it's across the street, so I guess officially it's in a butter, it doesn't touch it, but
Right.
if you were
Across
to
the road.
notify abutters, it's across the road.
Okay.
One more question, are you planning on developing this piece of land?
No, actually, I'm trying to secure it, because we had a granddaughter in December. And because of the proximity to our property, you never know. So, not right now, she's 6
But there is
months. She was
potential
6
to
months old
develop.
last week. I don't know, I mean, down the road, potentially, I really, like I said, with her being born and the proximity to the property, we wanted to make sure we secured it if we could.
Again, I mean, knowing that this
Is this
would get
towards the
off the
corner
tax rolls and be done.
Birch Road?
That's right across the street from Birch Road, where Birch and Spruce cross. There before you take the corner around Spruce.
Other comments? John, anything else?
Close the deal.
All right. Motion one way or another?
Okay, I'll make the motion that we accept the bid for map lot, map 4, lot 52 for $500, map 4, lot 53 for $1,600, and that both the parcels will be merged together for the total of $2,100.
Okay. Is there a second?
How's that?
Okay. Everybody understands what we're voting on? Okay? And this is, there's no need for the 30-day business on yours, you're all set?
I was gonna leave a check today, but I had a question on the closing process. I haven't done this before yet. So
Okay.
I didn't know if I know to get my own closing, go with you.
I do all the paperwork.
I love that, okay.
All right.
Yeah, the only comment I have is that I understand, putting it in hands and holding out, but I think, or real estate, I would prefer to check that out, make sure that I don't disbelieve you, but, would like to verify that, maybe, in the future, we can entertain that idea. However, I agree with Joe in terms of the tax rolls, the longer we wait, the quicker we act, the more it'll get on the tax rolls, we'll start being collecting taxes. We'll never make up them.
No.
Never gonna happen.
Not gonna happen. So, that's all I gotta say.
All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so this is that and that. Okay, I have an item, if I may bring up. Involves a couple people sitting here, if you have a moment, please. Jack,
You almost made it.
I almost made it.
involves, I believe it's you.
Oh,
Ballot box.
it involves me,
Oh,
Jack, so it's not bad.
I already gave you some info
Well,
on that.
okay, but just, if you have a moment to add to
Sure.
this. The town has one of these very old ballot boxes, okay? We take it out and use it once or twice a year. When it's the big election, we use the big machine, but we still have the original ballot box. Yes, it's missing some of the pieces that allow you to crank stuff in, but it's still there, okay? We have an interested party who would like to use it at a family function. Is that pretty accurate?
Yes, that's
Okay.
right.
So would you like to speak briefly about it and then,
Sure, so my daughter and her fiance are getting married in October. They both work in DC on the Hill, that's where they met. He's from Nebraska, she's obviously from here. And we toyed about the idea of, for their cards at their wedding reception, what would be kind of a neat idea is if we could get a ballot box, because their theme is, you know, obviously very political, kind of. So I came to the selectmen and asked them if we had one, because I can't seem to find one on eBay. And lo and behold, Middleton does, and I asked them if I could secure use of it for one day.
I originally thought it was up to the moderator, which is why I've asked Jack to stay for a moment or two. And Jack, I believe it's your opinion that the ball is in our court. Is that
I think
accurate?
that's right, and I further said that from a legal standpoint, as far as I know, there's nothing to prohibit that, it's fine. From a historical standpoint, as long as you're not painting it
No.
or
No.
Come back.
or anything like that.
No.
It's kind of a
To put
cool
their
idea.
cards, their gift
I
cards,
thought-
you know what I mean, like, people come in where they.
Pretty
put-
cool idea, it is a good
Just
idea.
instance, that's
All
just
right,
something.
all right, hold on, just want to let Jack finish, please. Or
No,
you
I
can
thought,
finish.
I thought it was a pretty cool idea.
All right, good. Peter.
Can we volunteer Jack to stand at it at that meeting?
Jack will for percentage.
I have a
Could you do
brief
weddings?
concern.
Maybe.
When we vote at a
Hopefully we don't
town
need a moderator.
vote, hopefully,
Yeah.
either Jack or someone is always in close proximity to the ballot box. I would like some assurances that this ballot box, now holding checks with a fair amount of money in it, envelopes with checks and money in it, I'd like some assurance that this thing isn't gonna grow legs. Not from you folks, but just, is there gonna be someone there whose job it is to keep track of it? Because we all know that this stuff gets stolen at weddings.
I will personally tell you that I will keep track of it. Jim can tell
Well,
you.
but you're the mother of the
No,
bride.
no,
How are you gonna have time to
Don't,
keep an eye
it will
on
be
it?
taken care of, believe me.
Yeah.
Where is the wedding gonna be held by me?
The reception.
The reception,
At the
Washington,
River
DC.
Mill in Dover. No,
Where's
no,
that?
it's here, it's in Dover, the River Mill in Dover.
okay.
And an old industrial, one of the factories down there.
My concern is not so much the money. My concern is, maintaining and not damaging the ballot box at all, because it is an historic structure or item.
Right.
There's 100 and, how many communities, 100 and, 200 some communities within the state. These are the only ones that have ballot boxes per se, official, I guess, old ballot boxes.
1960.
I would want some kind of assurances, packaging it up, transportation. Would like it picked up the day before
Yes.
and returned the day after. I
Yes.
know that's tough, but I
That's
don't
fine.
want that hanging around
Yeah,
anywhere.
That's fine.
What day is the
But it's
reception on?
just- But it's a Saturday, so somebody gonna be in here on Friday, okay.
Somebody
and then
will be
somebody
in here
this
to
Sunday?
accept, yes.
Okay, no, that's
I
fine.
think the
I
ballot
will
box,
borrow it
no,
Saturday,
I
so.
don't wanna make a hardship, I think it's a great idea, but I wanna protect, I would wanna protect the, and I'm sure you will.
Yes. No, I agree, I hear what you're saying, and right, I did not, yes, there was no plans of,
Take your shotgun.
it would not go in until it was time to go in at the time, and then it will go out immediately
It's
after.
like, it's like an old Chinese vase, not a vase, a vase, and we don't want somebody running into it and cracking
No,
it.
and it won't be anywhere near where there would be people
And I-
congregating around it, unless to talk
Roxanne, I
about-
would suggest that you get somebody else besides
I-
yourself
I-
to watch
I'm
that.
a control person, ask Jim, he'll tell you.
I know.
Probably,
hire
she's
police-
probably
Just
the
not
best
to watch
suited
one-
one to be
I know you
watching.
hire.
I'm not even
detail.
going near it, so.
Copper detail, yeah, there you go.
I think it would be a wonderful idea, particularly for your daughter who's, you know,
Yeah, from
here and so
DC,
forth,
up
so
on the hill,
I
yeah.
just would like
Yes,
precautions taken.
yes, and they will be.
I would-
One stipulation, we need a picture
Oh,
in the
yes,
newspaper.
yes,
Yes.
oh, okay, yes, sure, sure, I can do that.
Bride and groom on each side of the box,
Yes,
holding all those checks, handing them out.
casting their ballot.
And,
I am concerned about the security. I would want assurances that one person is gonna be there within arm's reach of that box. Because we know the stuff at weddings is a large amount of money and whatever the money's in sometimes gets stolen.
Maybe I'll invite
on
Hyde
the
to
other-
the wedding.
what's
With a
that?
car.
Maybe he'll invite Hyde.
I'll invite
say
Hyde to
hi.
the wedding and have a cocktail.
But the concept is certainly interesting. I understand the idea, and that they're both in politics and so forth. Okay?
I only have one other
Yep.
request, is that when it's returned, no hidden ballots in the bottom.
Ah, just cash.
No, the check only, not that.
Know that.
Cash.
No, that's.
Okay, more discussion.
That's SAVHEE.
All right, thank you, Jack.
Yeah.
All right, more discussion.
I thought I was on the schedule to talk to you guys.
Well, is it about this?
No.
No,
Wanna
we're
finish
gonna
this
vote on the
first?
box.
Oh, they're gonna vote, they're gonna vote. Oh,
Any other
sorry.
discussion about
Oh,
Oh,
the BB ballot box?
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and let Roxanne Keegan be in charge and utilize the ballot box of the town of Middleton, and that she guarantees its safety and security.
For the date of
October 6th,
October
October
6th.
6th.
And we get it back to 7.
yeah.
And picked up on the 5th.
Would be all right to get all this in writing?
Yeah.
Folks are agreeable?
Sure.
All right, so is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so, we'll, Laura, I'll be glad to help write the letter. What?
I know, it's just a ballot box, but it's a big deal for
No,
the
it
town.
is.
Oh, it is a big deal. It
Yeah.
is a big deal, I mean.
All right, I believe, Jim, you're on? You have
Yeah,
something
I
else?
wanted to talk to you guys on behalf of the New Durham Valley ATV Club. I am hoping to get the Class 6 roads available to ride ATVs on. it's paramount to get them to be able to utilize a lot of the other trails around. I know, myself being a property owner on Jones Road, we've always rode ATVs down there, it's never been an issue. But after joining the club and finding out, all the legalities involved, if technically, if you can ride an ATV on a Class 6 road or any trail, it has to be posted that you can do so, which the club would do. I mean, we would take care of all of it. I've spoken with Rick as well as Chief Blodgett, about this, and neither one of them had any, any issues with doing it. So, and this is just kind of an informal talk about it now. I can get people from the club here and we can go over, what our commitment would be. I can just tell you this, that, we're committed to doing whatever it takes to get these trails open. So with that comes, maintenance of all of this stuff, all the signage. It's a given whether it's snowmobiles or ATVs. You're always gonna have some cowboys out there that are doing what they shouldn't be doing, but from my perspective, when you have a club involved, we have financial resources, we have the manpower to fix, and take care of anything that should happen. But we also have, I think, more leverage than the average person when you have to get fish and game involved, when there's problems going on. The other thing that, with the financial resources, cameras, things like that, so, just some food for thought for anything you guys might, I know, John, you've been involved in it right over on the other side, so I'd be looking forward to help from you. I'm pretty new at this stuff.
Are you a member of the New Hampshire, okay,
Yes.
that's important because that is a, was it Buddy,
We just got our
okay.
certification.
The New Hampshire OHRB is,
They call it like NOAA or,
Yeah. OHRB Association is it's been around for a long time. Legislation was passed last year that allows them to function the same way as snowmobile clubs do. And what that means is fees, registration fees that are collected and membership fees that are, this is paraphrasing a little bit, membership fees collected by a club that's associated with the New Hampshire OHRB. Some of the fees that they collect, they get to keep some of the fees. The fee goes to Trails Bureau, Fish and Game, and then they send back grants to the club to maintain trails, just like snowmobile clubs do. Now, there is an upstream swim
Sure.
for OHRVs. They're different because they're not quite as accepted
Right.
as snowmobiles.
Yep.
I'm being
Sure.
blunt here.
No, I agree with you.
And that you have to overcome possibly some of that.
Yep.
And I think, because I've dealt with the legislation actually for 2 years, I think 2 years up there, so I know them pretty well and what they were trying to do, try to make it better. And there are a lot of regulations that you have to follow on municipal property, private property, all kinds of rules are
Yeah.
involved, and the clubs and the association knows about that. So I have an open mind, and certainly it would be something to start looking at, and, but keep all those things, I know you're
Sure.
aware of those things.
Yep. I will say that the snowmobile guys used to be dead set against four-wheelers on their trails. I have spoken with the president of, is it Evergreen Valley, right? And surprisingly, he was pretty open to it, and, you know, from a off-the-record type thing, I'll help you all I can. I'll, you know, I'll set you up with names and stuff, all the landowners, to try to, but, like I was saying, it's paramount to be able to get the Class 6s, and also, hopefully, some of the town property as well. We got a couple of pieces that are in locations that, because well, let me give you just a little background. The New Durham Valley Club was ran out of New Durham. I don't know what happened, but they had a falling out or something. That basically folded up. These guys in Wakefield they've had a club for a while, but it wasn't an official club. So they had been talking to New Durham, getting help from them and stuff. Well, when New Durham decided to call it quits, they gave everything to them. $17,000 cash, a tractor, backhoe, bucket on it, grading equipment, an enclosed trailer with all the tools to work on the trails. But what New Durham also had is all of Cavalry up there. Those trails are already open for the most part. If we could get from Jones Road over Jesse, now that's a large trail system that, you know.
There's no trail system in Jesse, right? There's a snowmobile.
Well, yeah, there's a snowmobile trail going through. As far as a system, no, I wouldn't, but there's a trail, road that goes all the way up over and goes down and comes out on Lions Camp Pride Road, which is, that's where the trails are to Cavalry right there. Now, Corey Eastman lets the snowmobiles up through there. I know Corey, you know, and he's a pretty reasonable guy. You're gonna have to give him some assurances that you're gonna, you know, take care of the trail and stuff and keep him out of his blueberries. But I think it's possible. I think it's possible. The other guy, Roxanne spoke with him a little bit here, I guess.
The gentleman who wants to purchase the.
Now,
Delorious.
Dolores.
he said that he was open to talking about it. Teddy Brooks plows him out and everything. He's good friends with him, so that's a pretty good guy to have talk to him. So I mean, I'm optimistic. I know what you're saying. Believe me, I do. You know,
I'm just
right.
pointing out
Oh no.
that, and again, I'm open-minded, but I will tell you that there will be people
Oh yeah.
that will not want that to happen.
Mhm.
And I think, I would have to look at all the facts, what's involved, take into consideration your club and what you do, how the trails would be maintained, also the environmental impact that would have on the property, future sale of the property like Jesse Mountain. All those things would have to be taken, for me, they would have to be taken into consideration. So I don't think this would be a slam dunk thing right away, but
Right.
I would be open to listen to your club. And Buddy certainly has, the president of New Hampshire, which certainly deals with this all the time. Most of the OHRB trails are fragmented and they're down south. There are ones up north, obviously, but there's no connection. What they're
Right.
trying to do is connect them all.
Well, I've ridden them all. You know, we rode all these trails for my whole life. Things have happened in the last 10 years that have shut a good portion of it down. But it's not to say that,
I think your club and the association has the right approach in trying to ease into acceptance, and that's really what it is, acceptance of those vehicles.
Yep.
Even, I mean, I have colleagues at the State House that were against the expansion of Jericho Park
Yep,
because of the vehicles. That has been a boon
right.
to that community like you wouldn't believe.
Oh,
There are 35,000 people up there for Mud Day,
yeah,
whatever the heck that is. So, there has to be a happy balance
right.
between land use and saving the land. So I'm just
The other
letting you
thing
know.
that's come a long ways
It
is,
has
you
come a
were
long
talking
ways,
about the
and
environmental impact.
Right.
They're making mats and different types of things that you can put down that all the vegetation can actually grow through, and, stuff that was never even thought of 10 years ago, so. And the resources are available to get that stuff out there. That's the big thing with all the grant money. We're fortunate, I haven't met the guy, but the vice president of the club is the guy that wrote a lot of those grants, I guess. He's from Pittsfield, I guess.
Yes.
I don't know if you know him.
I know of him.
I've got to
And
call
he
him, I'm
has
supposed to vote
testified,
him.
I don't know his name off the top of my head, but he has testified quite a bit up at the
Yeah.
State House.
So he's the vice president of this club. But like I said, to me, in Middleton, the class 6 roads are the place to start. I really don't see why we can't use them. You're talking Access Road, Jones Road, New Portsmouth Road.
Question is, where do they go?
What's that?
Where do they go?
Well,
New Portsmouth
Where do
Road.
they stop?
New Portsmouth
Excuse
Road
me?
is class 6.
Well, no,
Yeah,
but I'm
but
saying class 6
it
roads,
runs
they
into
go
the society
someplace and then
lane.
they stop. So what do you do then?
Well,
You
on
turn
some
around
parts of
and
it,
come back?
right.
I mean,
one section.
I know the ultimate goal of class 6 would be an easy access to trails, whether they're there or not to develop trails, that's the question,
Right.
as far as I can see.
One,
So, I don't wanna steal all of it.
one comment you made at the beginning was that you conferred with Rick Washburn and Chief Blodgett.
Mm-hmm.
Nice, neither one of them control those trails. I'd like to hear from Fish and Game as to their concerns about, use of the trails in here, since
It's,
they are the ones that enforce it.
they're the ones that are gonna have to patrol it, and they're gonna tell you right now, they have more than enough to do with the resources that we in the legislature give them. That they're gonna be, I'm not saying it's a negative,
No.
I mean, that's what they're supposed to do,
Right.
but they're gonna have, if we start opening up miles and miles of trails, they're gonna say, oh boy. So, it's just another consideration that's gonna have to be taken, so, or at least put on the table.
Joe?
No, yeah, I mean, just move forward and see where it goes, I mean, it's just.
So what do you guys want to move forward then, I guess,
We
is
want
the
the
is the
club.
question. You want some people from the club
Right,
here?
I like
Yeah, that might be a good idea to start with, and
I'd like to
maybe,
hear from Fish and Game,
Maybe a map of what you're proposing to do.
yeah?
We
I
can
mean, I'd
do
like to
that.
see it on paper, I mean, all these places like that, I don't know, I know
Right.
generally where they are, I'd like to see like a dotted line where you think you wanna go with it.
Yep,
I can
What
say,
class 6s do you think you need to be on to get these trails?
I can say also, I can also talk to Chris Camache, and Chris Camache can give us all the trails. And Chris Camache is Director of Trails for New Hampshire, for the state of New Hampshire. I can get a hold of Chris and ask him to give me all the trails that are released in Stratford County and Carroll
Yeah, Carol.
Carroll County. State-owned or privately owned. I can say this too, that some communities that have had proposals like this have public hearings to listen to
Sure,
what the public
yeah.
have to say, their
Yeah.
input in terms of what they feel about it.
right.
Not saying we're doing that, not saying we will or won't, I'm just saying that some communities do
Yeah.
that, and,
More comments from other people. Joanne?
I can't say that I'm either for or against OHRVs. What I can tell you is our experience with our property on New Portsmouth Road. Once we had legitimate trails and hikers and people who were actually interested in protecting the land visible by their presence, we had a lot less trouble with people who were destroying the property. When you have somebody taking advantage of legal opportunities to use the land, you find far fewer people out there target shooting where they shouldn't be, or running their trucks where they're not allowed to. The presence of legal use of the land deters those who would otherwise destroy the property.
All right. Other thoughts? The idea of a public hearing is good. Joe, I like your idea, because I don't know where the trails are either, and I'm not, I know where New Portsmouth Road is, I know where Lions Club Road is, but I'm not sure of the trails in between. All right? So, you're welcome to come back. Just let Laura know, so make sure you're on the agenda.
Yeah.
My apologies that you weren't on tonight, but glad you had a chance to talk. All right, other new business.
We talked about setting up a workshop for ordinances.
Good?
Anybody have any mind of when they wanna do that?
Tell me when you wanna do it, and I'll be there.
Not tomorrow, but otherwise, I can find time.
I would say, for me, sometime next month, sometime, except
Okay.
for the middle of the month.
All right.
It could be a Saturday is fine, or a night can be fine, whatever.
Laura, could you put it on the agenda for next meeting? Try to pick a time, is that agreeable?
Yeah, that's agreeable.
It's next month?
Just because we have all the ordinances, Laura has them all in one, actually they're in, how come they're in two different files? They wouldn't big enough, but anyway, we have them all. And I think that was one of the first things that I was involved in the meeting, and we go over, and I think we can pop those out within one work session, pretty much. I think.
I know, not a lot of ordinances really.
Well, there are a lot of ordinances in there, but some of them are kind of funny.
And there is, quote me if I'm wrong, John, but there is a bill at the State House that would allow towns to pass ordinances the same way that cities pass ordinances. That means us, as opposed to a meeting in March. I just read it tonight in the stuff you gave us.
I think the town can pass, you know, it's funny, if you look at other towns that have ordinances, some of the ordinances, the way I understood ordinances could be done was by the board. Board would have, if there was an ordinance proposed, a town ordinance, not a zoning ordinance or not a land use ordinance, but a town ordinance like we have, like you cannot, technically you cannot have alcoholic beverages on Sunrise Lake. That's an ordinance that nobody follows.
You know.
Well, because I know well. But
Follow it
anyway,
diligently.
Yeah.
Because his boat has it all on it.
Yeah.
but things like that. But my understanding was that town, the Board of Selectmen, if they have a hearing on a particular ordinance, they post the hearing, be at a regular meeting or whatever, on the proposal. And then there could be discussion and vote on that ordinance. I'm not aware that the towns can't make ordinances without go to town meeting on ordinances, because
I think at our workshop
we'll figure that one out. I can find that one out. If there was legislation like that.
Laura, do you know what I'm talking about? You gave us a summary of current bills. It's just in the folder tonight.
Oh, and that thing, that was by the Municipal Association.
Yes.
Oh, well, I wouldn't,
All right,
that's all I had. Okay.
more from anybody for the good of Middleton.
The only thing I have is that the security locks should be in this week at the fire station.
Okay,
Could
Good.
be tomorrow, could be the next day. He said this week, so, and he was on vacation last week to confirm, so I'm hoping.
okay, good. Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
Oh,
8:20.
second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
God, I go home.
Thank you.
Mention of